Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Mr. Siege. Now, this is a test that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. It's the commander testing of the commander you picked for me to expertise in this commander swap. And that, of course, is Philip the First. So, we've done the testing now and it's kind of not what I expected, the results, and you'll see why. So, it's exactly the same test as we've done before. We're doing the 3 minute test, attacking the same march. That's Zhuge Liang and Herman Prime. Obviously, run it for 3 minutes with no gear, no armaments, and yeah, you'll see how it goes. So, first of all, we've got our best siege commander, Gonzalo de Cordoba. Secondary is Philip, as Philip's going to be secondary in all of these tests. Now, there's one more commander that I did expertise in this commander swap, and that's none other than Shajar al-Durr. So, first of all, this is Gonzalo, 17k to 70k, 135,000 troops remaining. Now, it's not a bad result, but yeah, 135k remaining isn't amazing. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have a siege, another siege commander using Philip as secondary, that could work. Now, I can tell you on this one, Gonzalo de Cordoba recast his active skill 3 times. Now, as you know, Philip gives your commander a 20% chance to recast your active skill. And I think we were getting sort of 12, 13 skill cycles off during that 3 minute period, which isn't a lot. Obviously, we've got no horns, we've got no rage generation stuff on these commanders at all, with no equipment, no armaments. So yeah, there's 20% chance, and obviously if you had a horn, it would improve that massively. So here's a Stephen and Philip test: 14,000 to 47,000. Um, yeah, not great. I'll be honest with you. Nothing in comparison to obviously the Cordoba march. There was a bit of healing there, so we got 164k remaining. And obviously, running with Philip, he could do with some healing, but generally you find that the healing commanders don't have the damage output. I mean, Cordoba is the man that does all the damage. You know, the AoE. Gajah Mada has a decent amount of damage too, but he's the only one that's really dealing a lot of AoE damage. Now we've got Joan, and Joan has been kind of disappointing. His best pairings with Stephen, and to be honest, it's his only pairing he's really working that well with. So we tested him with Philip as well, and this was the result: 15k, nearly 16k to 40k. Pretty poor. Nothing like the first test. 109,000 remaining again, which is very very low. 135,000 originally with Cordoba, so more survived with Cordoba, and yeah, it just wasn't a great result at all there. I think healing is necessary if you want to keep it on the field for a large proportion of the time, but obviously Cordoba and him seem to be hitting pretty hard. Now, the most interesting thing is here is how does Philip compare to running Caesar as a secondary with his museum buff? Because Caesar gets 20% more damage, he's got a bit of march speed, a higher troop capacity. And, I suppose we're never really going to find out properly until we do some real field tests. And I'm hoping to get that done in KVK. Now, it all depends on how KVK is going. Obviously, I want to win. I want to get as much KP as possible. So we'll have to see how that goes. But here's Gajah Mada with Philip. And as you can see, 15k to 51k. 155,000 remaining. Nearly 156,000 remaining. Not a terrible result. You know, a lot of you would be very, very happy with these trades in a KVK. That's if you can get them, obviously. And that depends on obviously getting away from the enemy. If your ball deteriorates, getting them out of there. And, that's always a bit of an issue. But Philip does have 20% extra march speed, so that's something to bear in mind. Now, let's try Babur. Babur is another fantastic engineering commander, but how does he pair with Philip? So, actually, it's looking good. We've killed Liang there, which is a great start. But again, there's no healing on this march. So there is a bit of health though, which health is very very useful. So 15k to 55k, 134k remaining. Probably not quite as good as Gajah Mada. Yeah, Gajah Mada has a bit of healing there, and he's got plenty of health. And to be honest, it does a fair bit of damage over time, and you can do a lot of damage over time when you've got an engineering march, and you're hitting on the field constantly if you get in the right position. That is. So Margaret, obviously, she does some healing, but it's nowhere near as good as a mighty healing on Gajah, Mada, or even Stephen. In fact, he does mighty healing too, and it's very, very strong indeed. So Margaret actually ended up with less than half health here, or at least around half health by the looks of it. So let's take a look at the report. 16k to 44k, 132,000 remaining. Again, not an amazing result. We're getting about 2-3 to 1 trades here. Nothing like the Cordoba, it's 4 to 1 trades, as you can see. Running through these results here, it's not terrible. If that's all you had, I mean, many of you will have swapped for Philip in the commander swap. Maybe you're not getting him in a main march. Maybe you've got Cordoba as well. It is an option. If you just want to shove a march out there just to get a bit of KP, help your front field marches, you're busy at work, something like that, it's a possibility. So, Narses now. We know Narses has some great healing, but how does his damage do? Because he's an epic commander, and he doesn't seem to be dealing a great deal of damage, as expected. He couldn't even kill Liang here. So, not expecting a great result. What we got, 140% KP ratio, 13k to 19k. Honestly, this march isn't really worth running on the field. Yes, you're getting a bit of KP there, but that's all you're doing. You're not doing anything else. You're not even buffing your marches, remember, because Philip's active skill does not work. So, as I mentioned, we also got Shajar. And the main reason behind Shajar is her buffing other marches. So, we know she's not going to do a great deal of damage output. Obviously, she's not got anything that increases damage, as far as I'm aware. You may call me wrong in the comment section. But she does provide a decent amount of mighty healing to a lot of your marches. 3 marches, I believe, including herself, which is really, really strong if you're running next to other siege marches. That is exactly what you'd like. Plus 10% defense buff. So 377% is actually quite nice. 168,000 remaining, 15k to 58k, 59k. That didn't perform badly at all. Now, I wouldn't want to waste Shajar on the field with Cordoba when I can be buffing Cordoba's active skill with someone like Margaret. So, again, what am I going to do with Shajar? Who would I pair her with? I'm thinking maybe an epic commander. But I didn't get all those tests I wanted to get done. But maybe I'll have to just have a bit of testing during KVK. So I just thought maybe I'd try with Steven. Steven's got healing, Shajar's got healing. I'm not sure on the output of damage we could do here, but maybe there's some synergy. And you probably wouldn't do this on the field if you've got John, because remember, John's best commander pairing is with Steven. He's not really great with anybody else, so maybe I just run Shajar with like Narses. Keep the march alive and keep my other marches alive too. So 310%, 12,000 to 37,000. You know what, 3 to 1 trades I'd take any day of the week. But I'm thinking maybe have to run her with Narses, keep the march alive, like I say, even run some T4 behind, just as a buffing march. Now, even Catherine could work, potentially. Now, with Philip, as we know, he buffs other marches differently. Archers get health, cavalry get attack, and infantry get defense. So what happens if I was to run Cordoba with Philip and instead use archer troops? Now, if you haven't seen before, I used to run my infantry troops with infantry gear, and I used to use Margaret and Cordoba, and honestly it worked absolutely fine. So this is always an option for you guys that are just starting with Siege. Maybe you want to use your archer troops, archer equipment, and also, if you're using archer, they still counter the other troop types. So archers will still counter infantry. So 14k to 62k, 141,000 remaining. And the original result obviously was 17k to 70k. We did take less severely wounded, which is nice. And we still did a decent amount of damage, 421% KP ratio. A very good option for you guys that have only invested in Gonzalo de Cordoba, which I did advise. He's the best engineering commander. if you haven't got him yet in the commander swap, go and get him. Okay, you can see the results he does even with non-engineering commanders like Shajar and Philip and Caesar. You know, very obtainable commanders, especially Caesar. Now, you probably, like I say, you probably swapped for Philip, or at least many of you will have done. So this time we actually use cavalry, and you can see the amount of damage this time. Yes, we have less remaining, 124k, but we did 81,000 severely wounded. And I did realise this after the video. We have been targeting that Zhuge Liang march. Cavalry, counter, archer. Obviously, that attack makes a difference. It's 35% cavalry attack too, but it is going to do more damage to archer troops. So if you wanted to run cav in a siege march, obviously you're not running siege, but in a tower, you are going to do more damage against archers. You're going to do that 5% all damage, and it does make a difference, guys. This time we're taking out our infantry troops. Okay, that's going to be 35% defense. Now, archer do counter infantry, and you will see that in this result too. So 384%, very similar, but 15k to 58k. 127,000 remaining. It didn't do the damage, and nowhere near as what the cavalry did. And obviously, originally with siege, we did like 70,000. I did actually want to try and run another siege march out here now with the same troops, because obviously I did count the amount of times the Gonzalo's AoE re-triggered, and in fact I think on best it re-triggered 5 times during a test, which is kind of amazing out of like 12, 13 casts, skill casts. So that 20% chance of re-triggering Gonzalo's active skill is quite effective in my opinion, but the main thing is just trying to keep that march alive. Gonzalo has no healing, unfortunately. You know, maybe you could run Gonzalo Philip, maybe Narses and Shajar, healing that other march potentially. It's an option. You know, options are there with engineering marches, and that's what I need to try and obviously show you guys. Anything is possible with engineering marches, and everything should be tried and tested. So what I need to do now is go and put these results into that spreadsheet that we've created. All those results that we've had from all the other tests are all in there. And my biggest interest is, did it compare well to running like Cordoba Caesar? So we'll be adding those results to the spreadsheet very, very shortly, and I'm going to post that obviously in the comment section, and go and check it out. So at some point they'll be added, hopefully very soon, probably by the time this video is uploaded. So guys, that's me, Mr. Siege, thank you, and bye bye.